Okay, we're going to talk about factoring by grouping. This is a concept that's pretty basic. It's pretty easy, but it tends to get left out of curriculum because of time constraint and trying to learn other material. By now you should already know how to factor. So this is just, you might know this as a reminder, or you just need to brush up on factoring a little bit. So we're going to do a little preliminary stuff first. If you see something like this expression, where the quantities here, the binomials, are exactly the same, you can combine this into two binomials as x plus 2 times x plus 3. Now, if you think about FOIL, what are we doing when we FOIL? We first do first and then outer, which is first, we multiply x times x, and then x times 3. Isn't that what this is right here? X times x times x times 3. Then we do the inner and last, which is these two. 2 times x plus 2 times 3, which is this part right here. So that was pretty easy. Let's do another one. Since my quantities are the same here, I can simply combine these two terms, x minus 2, and multiply it by the quantity of x plus 3, for the exact same reasons explained in this problem. We'll call this one 1 and 2, and this one 2. Alright, another little thing you might need to know is when you have something like this. So, these two almost look the same right here, but are they the same? No, these are not the same, because if you let x be 5, you have 3 minus 5 here, and you get negative 2. And if you let x be 5 here, you have 5 minus 3, which is 2. They're not the same. But we're going to look at the whole picture. Does this expression equal this expression? Well, let's just distribute and see what we get. I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 and 2 times negative x. So I'm going to multiply this side as well. I get negative 2x plus 6. Are these the same? Yes, because all I have to do is rearrange these, and I could let this, put this first, and the 6 first, and write 6 minus 2x. So they are the same. You could also just multiply this expression by negative 1, negate it, and you will get negative 2 times negative 3 plus x, and then just rearrange these two and get negative 2x minus 3. Now in pre-cal, we would not expect you to show this. We would just expect you to see something like this, where you see that these two are kind of just flip-flopped. And we're going to write this as x times x minus 3. And we're going to change this to a negative. And then just flip those. So that's going to be x minus 3 here. Because you know these two are equivalent. Now, we have two quantities are the same, so we can just combine them like we did on the other pages. And you're done. Okay. Now you try. I'll give you a little hint on this one. You're going to write this as P times Q minus 1 plus 5 times Q minus 1. And you can put it together. You'll do the same thing for this one. Alright, the ones we're going to get in pre-cal and that are going to be on your quiz are this form. So what we want to do, and this is where the word grouping comes in, is we want to group it to look like what we saw on the previous slides. And the more you do this, the more you'll notice if you can even factor by grouping. So what I'm going to do here is put these two together, and I'm going to group these two together. Because right away I notice I have an x minus y in both of these quantities. I'm going to use greatest common factor here and pull out the 4. In this case, I'm going to factor out the a, and we're left with x minus y. Again, two quantities are the same, so we can combine those. And voila, you have factored by grouping. Let's do this one a little faster. Do you see if we can group this or not? Well, maybe you don't know yet, so let's just try. I'm going to group these two together and the last two together. And by the way, on your quiz, they will be together for you. You don't have to rearrange them. So what can I factor? What's my greatest common factor here? Well, I can divide both of these by 2. So I'm going to pull out a 2 here. And I can divide both of these terms by b. So I'm going to pull out a b. And if you divide 4ab by 2b, you get what? Is that 2a? Yeah. And then 2b divided by 2b is just 1. Basically, that is all the greatest common factor is. If you're dividing by 2b, it's like dividing, however, you're not losing what you're dividing by. You pull it out to the side. In this case, we can pull out a 2. And we get 2a minus 1. Well, yes, we can factor by grouping because these two quantities are the same. We put these two together, and we get 2b plus 2 times 2a minus 1. Okay. Now here's one that I'm not sure if we can factor by grouping. I notice if I group the first two terms together and the second two terms together, I don't even have a greatest common factor at the first binomial. So what I think I'm going to do instead of doing that is rearrange these a little bit and see if I can do it. I'm losing all my information. Alright. So we want an x and y in both terms. So I think I'm going to do x squared plus x y. So I'm putting these two together. And I'm going to subtract 2y and just put these two here. Like that. So I group these two together. In this case, I can factor out an x, and I get x plus y. In this case, I have a minus here, so I'm really factoring out a negative. Factor out a negative 2, and when I do that, I'm going to get a y plus x. Because think about it, when you distribute these two here, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. So don't forget when you have a negative here to be careful with this last quantity here. Now, are these two the same? Yes. So, because the addition is commutative, so we're going to group these two together, x minus 2 times, doesn't matter which order, but I'm going to do x plus y. Okay. Let's try again. Let's put these two together and see. Now, if I put a parentheses here and make this a quantity, if there's a negative there, let me go ahead and erase this. And see if what we can do with this bit here. Here, if I factor out of 4a, I'm going to get b plus 4. In this case, when I was trying to put the parentheses here, that means I have a minus here. But when I put the parentheses here, I have to change this to a plus. So that's going to be b plus 4. Now, don't forget, if there is nothing in front here, we can put a 1. If you want to check, you can go back. This was originally 4ab plus 16a minus b minus 4. Again, we basically want our quantities to be the same, so we could do 4a minus 1 times the quantity of b plus 4. I have 2 here that you can try. And that's the end of the video.